We're the boys.
Yeah.
We're the boys.
Boys.
We're the boys.
We're the boys.
We're the boys.
We're
And
the
Anna
boys.
is a boy, and Mitch is a boy, and Chris is a boy, and Tim is a boy. And together we're the boys and the boys.
Hey guys, so we're back with an actual topic, and we're gonna try and stay on it this time.
Yeah, we're pretty bad at that.
So Caleb started off with a pretty cool story that we're probably not gonna tell you because he has another great one that he's gonna share.
I'm super looking forward to his
And
story.
it's going to start us off, and we're gonna go around and share stories. And
Yeah.
stuff.
About what?
So right now, the topic idea is essentially situations where we've been like afraid for our life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So,
to the point of written enough.
here's the story. So this was 4 years ago, I'll say. Maybe 5. We were, if anyone is from Niagara, you know what Springalicious is. It's this carnival sort of set-up shop thing on Queen Street. They close off the street and they put a whole bunch of rides and food and like little jewelry shops and a whole bunch of different stuff. So me and my family went to this, and we got these wristbands that you didn't have to buy tickets to get onto rides. You just have to buy this like $20 wristband, and you could go on as many as you want, as many times as you want. So that's what we did. And my mom and dad went to go, well, probably my mom went to go look at jewelry, and my dad had money, so he had to follow her. Anyway, they were like, you just have fun. And I was on my own. I was like, I don't know, looking back, why they thought it was a good idea to leave an 11-year-old in a circuit. Like, that's just a recipe for disaster. Anyway, they did. And there was 3 rides. I think it was like the Ferris wheel, and I was like, ew, that's stupid. And then one of the rides that like spins you around, and then there's like a spinny thing inside of the spinny thing, and like spinception. And I could only ride that so many times, and then I would get sick. So I would ride it once. And then there was the other ride, and it was this tall slide that you get in a corn or a potato bag, and you go down on it.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
I went down that like probably 7 times.
Nice.
And then the guy who was running it got really friendly with me. And at first I thought he was just like, this kid is being really annoying, and he keeps going on this ride, like, chill out. And he was like, hey buddy, you really like this ride? Because it's probably like the 25th time that I've went down it. I was like, yeah. And then he puts his arm around me.
Ew.
And he grabs my
11-year-old?
wrist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
He grabs what?
my wrist. And I had like a bracelet for like anti-bullying something. It was just like,
okay. No, I'm not
something
judging.
that
Like,
I-
that's fine.
and he was like, what's this for? And I was like, anti-bullying.
Which you're doing to me right now, and it's making me uncomfortable.
And then he was like, oh, that's cool. And he was like talking really loud, like he wanted other people to hear.
Wow.
Ew.
This is so weird.
So I go on the ride, and then he's like, hey, and I don't remember, he asked me something, like if I could help him with something.
What?
Yeah,
What were you going to help him with?
I don't know.
Carrying
I was
kittens
like,
from his car.
actually, that's my parents calling me. I gotta go. And he's like, I don't hear anything. And then I just ran to the other ride, and I just went on it, and I went on it, and I went on it until my parents came back.
Whoa.
That
one-
is weird.
Oh,
That is weird.
The one that spins around and then you puke so many times, but you
I
just stayed
actually
on there.
was sick.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh man.
That's like,
Yeah.
that's bizarre. Like, he
Yeah.
definitely had some nefarious intention.
Like,
That's
I always am like,
weird.
I wonder if I was just overreacting, but
no,
the whole,
that's
like,
weird.
putting his... I was
Yeah.
just like, go away.
Or what are you
The
going to
minute
help
he's
him with?
like, I don't hear anything.
Oh
I
my
know.
goodness,
It's
that's
like-
ultimate. Like,
He's trying to.
there's
push
no
you
reason
into
for
it.
you to leave
If you weren't
me.
like strong and forceful, like, and you
That's
would have just like,
terrifying.
I don't
Yeah, but
know.
I've always
I
been
would
very
run.
blunt with people
Exactly.
and like,
Which
nah,
would've saved
I'm
you.
good, bye.
You're creepy. No, thank you.
You're creepy. Yeah. I'll
That
be
is-
complete honest. I think
Yeah,
you're.
I'd be very
I'm
afraid
gonna
in that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think you had every right to
Run.
be uncomfortable. 'Cause that's
As
weird.
opposed, like, if you didn't have the right, we'd be like, no, what are you, don't be, you can't be scared. Go back. Redo it.
Go back. Time machine.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else have any?
I'd report him.
Well, I don't know if anyone else.
Well, I
that
was like-
weird.
What do I do?
I
Yeah.
have a few.
You have
trying to-
so many stories.
I
I
was trying to choose
Yeah.
one. So, who's gonna go next?
You
I
are.
don't know.
Does someone have a story?
I do.
The
Tell your
yeah,
story.
do it.
Okay,
if you
so
have one.
Yeah.
Can you choose?
Yeah, I've got a few. When I lived in the Dominican Republic, I'd gone there to work as a humanitarian on behalf of CEDA, which is the Canadian International Development Association.
Creators.
And and
Is that like
the
PETA
basic-
but for sea creatures?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So basically, what my job was to help this grassroots program in this really small village in the Dominican Republic that was largely comprised of Haitian immigrants. And I lived in the village with them, and it was a very remote village. You could really only get there by motorbike or foot. There was very limited electricity.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was. I had a little like hut, basically, literally a hut, just a cinder block with a corrugated tin roof. And anyway, so a lot of these people that are in the village, because I was there to help them, and part of my job was to oversee a program to assist people with skills trades. So, for example, we hired a Spanish-speaking teachers to teach wood shop to the men and sewing to the women. And there was a man who'd bought a plot of land, divided it up amongst the men in the village so they could learn agriculture and grow their own food and that kind of thing. So I was also teaching English in the school, because English is a big deal for the tourism industry in Dominican, because there's so many tourists. So that was kind of what I did. And the people in the village were very, very protective of me, and I got along extremely well with the kids, and I always had a flock of kids wherever I went.
You're the glorified mom.
Yeah. So anyway, there was this one guy. I'd only been there maybe about 2 weeks, and they had, like, my house was, like, in the same village as them, and they'd never had, like, a white person living in the village with them. Other people who had come to help build homes or put in septic tanks would come for the day and then go stay at a resort in the evening. But because I was there, like, I did sort of feel I'm pretty unprotected here, because even calling the cops, if my phone actually worked, a lot of the law enforcement people wouldn't even come into this village because it had Haitian immigrants, and there's a huge racial thing there. But because my neighbors and the people who surrounded me were all very lovely and protective of me, I felt okay. So I was walking from the church where we had the school up to my house, and this guy approached me, and he spoke perfect English, and I was thrilled because I only ever spoke broken Spanish because there was nobody else in the village that spoke English. And he was chatting me up, and he's like, "Oh, I'm a member of the Canadian ambassador, blah blah blah." Anyway, I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting that anybody would even be aware that I'm here." But he's like, "Yeah, we're just checking in on you to make sure that you're okay." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm great." And this lady that was ahead of me, she started like this like war cry thing, and I'm like, okay, what is happening? And she was trying to communicate with me in Spanish, and she was like, and what I'm doing is, I'm grabbing, what she was doing was like grabbing her wrist, with like her left hand, she was grabbing her right wrist. And she kept saying this word over and over. And so when I looked up the word that she was saying in my little translation dictionary, she was saying thief. And I was like, okay, so all right. And this is like her gesture that he was like, stealing. So anyway, so then I got, up till that point, I'd been really friendly with him and talkative because I was so excited to talk to someone in English. So I get to my house, and then I said, okay, really nice to have talked with you. I'm going to head inside now. And he's like, oh, let me come in and check out your place. And I was like, no, I'm perfectly fine. I appreciate you making the trip to see me, but I'm good. And then he said, in a perfectly calm tone, he didn't raise his voice or anything, he goes, if you don't let me inside your house right now, I'm going to take my knife out of my pocket and slit your throat. And I was like, oh. Because nobody else could understand what he was saying except for me.
There's
and
people
because
around you?
there was tons of people around me,
They were
but
just
they
all
all spoke Spanish. So because he didn't change the inflection of his tone, like nobody knew what he was saying to me was threatening. So I'm like, you need to leave. And he's like, he wedged his foot in the door. He goes, if you don't let me in now, I'll be back. And then I think the way that he said that, all the women around me started flipping out. And like, these men from the neighboring houses came out with their machetes. They had him surrounded
so awesome.
in like 30 seconds.
That is so awesome.
And there's like this, and she's like, go inside, and like the woman inside, there was a woman already in my house. She's like bolting the door. She's like shutting my screens, and I'm like, like I'm flipping my biscuit. And all these men are around this guy, and they're just like, rah, 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 like, and I'm like, what's happening? Like, yeah. So he was not
got murdered.
Pardon?
He got killed.
No, he didn't get killed, but
But they had a good supper.
They told him that he could not come back, and so for the remainder of the time that I was there, he was not allowed in the village. Like literally, people would stop him in the village and be like, "You can't be here." Like that's how much they had my back. But
Wow,
yeah,
that's so awesome.
but like the follow up to that is when I had I'd been there for 6 months, and then I took a break for over the summer, and I was planning on coming back in the fall, but then 9/11 happened. So I'm like, I don't want to travel anywhere, because at that time everything was like it was unsafe to travel. So I waited until January. So I'd been gone for almost 9 months. So the guy was back in the village when I came back, and I'd only been there like a couple of weeks, and it was like late at night, and I was in my room, and I usually carried a flashlight with me, so if the power went out, at least I could see if I needed to at night. And I heard two voices outside my door, and I saw the doorknobs rattling, and
then you said,
yeah,
and all of a sudden
yeah.
they all just boom.
And then so I go to turn my flashlight on. I have no light. My battery is dead. It's so dark I
that's
can't even
terrible.
see my hand in front of my face. And then I hear them, because like they're literally just on the other side of cinder block from me, so I can hear them whispering. I can hear them walking through the grass. And then I heard them go and unscrew my water tank, which had been on the outside of my house. And then they came back, and they're like, I could hear them like outside my window, because all it was.
You wanted to say anything?
Pardon?
And you didn't say anything?
Well, I didn't know what to do, because I'm like, I was hoping they would just go away. But then like my bed was like right under the window, and it was just like wooden shutters with a screen. And then I heard them like kind of like trying to hit the shutters like right above my bed, and I had no lights to turn on or anything. So I just said, guys, I know you're there. And then they actually had a pretty smart little system that they'd set up for me, where if I ever felt I was in trouble, because the shades would go up like they're the wooden panels would go up like this, and then I would stick a handle of a pot into the wood, and then if I needed to alert somebody in the middle of the night, all I had to do was pull it down, the pot would fall, and then it would create noise. So I went around to all my windows, and I'm just like, pulling everything down, so all my pots are falling. And then like all the neighbors came out, the whole like rah, rah, like 2:00 in the morning, and so then again he was removed. But yeah,
That was the guy again.
Same guy.
That is so creepy.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
same guy.
It might be the
goodness.
same guy who did this with Caleb.
Yeah. But yeah, it was honestly, I think actually, to be perfectly honest, I think that's where a lot of my social anxieties came from, because I had no social anxiety before that time in my life. But yeah, that was scary.
Don't
so
talk
that's
to
my,
anyone that speaks English.
Yeah. English people are the worst.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so that's my story.
my guy was English speaking too.
I know. Oh,
Oh
my
my
gosh!
goodness.
And he was a man.
Was he white?
Yeah.
Were both of them white?
No, my guy was black.
Same person.
He just had like a
Tan.
Yeah.
Super big tan.
yeah. Anyway, yes. The answer to the question: I felt unsafe.
Yeah.
There's
Oh.
a question?
Yeah. But did you deserve to feel unsafe? Yes, you definitely did. You definitely deserve to feel unsafe. You are allowed to feel unsafe. We will not send you back in order to relive it and feel safe.
Thank you. I very much appreciate that.
You're welcome. We have deemed it unsafe.
All right, so who's next?
Well, Tim's gone.
Yeah, so it has to be one of you two.
Probably him. What about you, Chris? Because I honestly can't think of anything.
I know, I can't think of really anything.
I'm a young boy who's been very sheltered, so I have never been afraid in my life.
Well, maybe, we could go back to
What about
a time when you
alone in
felt
the house
uncomfortable.
and your parents are gone?
Usually fine. I've never been afraid alone.
What about, like, a time that you've been made to feel uncomfortable?
But then it sounds like someone's
don't wanna
knocking
talk
on the
about
door, trying to open the door.
The phone rang, and I answered, and I was like, hello? And then there's no one there. I was like, okay. Like, I've never, like, there have been times when I've been doing something that I'm like, oh, I think this is actually a little bit dangerous, but, and I'll say this thing to myself where I'm essentially like, today's not the day I die, and then I just do it. But, like, that's like my motto to make me do something that I'm like worried
I will
about.
not die today.
Exactly. I'm like, today's not that day, and then I just do whatever it is.
Wait, back in like podcast 2, when we were like freaking ourselves out, didn't you say that you were watching a movie? Oh, The Shining.
Yeah.
And
But
you
I
were
wasn't worried about death.
No, but you were scared. Yeah, that's a different question.
I wasn't scared for my life. I read a book and got scared one time, and then mosquitoes kept me awake all night, and it was the worst.
Probably the worst was when I'm alone, when I was younger in this house.
In this house?
It sounds like, it's at night, all the lights are off, and you think you hear like footstep or people walking up the stairs or
I've had that
or
creepy
something
feeling too.
falling. It sounds like something fell, and then there's so many doors everywhere. Like you could just be hiding right behind you. And then you go through the house and you're like trying to find the guy. You're like, come out, I know you're there. Come out.
Have you done that?
Oh yeah.
Have you really?
Yeah. Like I'd grab my, like I have swords, so I'd grab like my sword
Yeah, I
and
have a
go through the
crossbow
house.
in my room, so.
There you go.
There,
dude.
not
Walk
sing your
around.
sword song.
Do you like my sword, my diamond sword, You cannot afford for my diamond sword, Even if you could, I have a patent. No one else can make a sword exactly in this manner. Welcome to my manner. Swing my sword, whenever I get bored. I can swing my sword, I can swing my sword. Once I hit the floorboards, but I had it restored. Damage was expensive, but it was a ride out. Swinging is my business, and by that I mean swinging swords. Please do not ignore. Do you like my sword? Ha! That was rhetorical. You know I am the oracle. I know you like my sword. It's made of freaking diamonds. If you don't, you're lying. But that would be fine, because it is awesome, and you're probably jealous. I can swing my sword, cause I am the Lord of darkness. Shit!
Piccolo? Is that
But
what
yeah,
it's called?
I don't know
Piccolo?
what my story
Something
would be
that
like. I know there was some pretty
it's a lack
insane
of
things that
melatonin.
happened.
Oh.
You're being
That's
ignored,
the
Tim, and
Piccolo.
it's frankly unacceptable.
I'm
But
listening.
I have no idea. Like, cause I know that there was something crazy that happened. I don't know. Like, I've had crazy things that happened, but I don't know what one was so scary that I ran away.
Which
Like-
one did you run away from, though? Which one? It's not about running away. It's about being afraid for your life.
Do you know any that I would have done that too?
Being afraid for your life. Which one?
I don't know. I don't think I have been afraid for my life enough that I would run away from something.
What about like when you were?
It's
in
not
Haiti
about
or
running
anything?
away. It's about just fearing for your life. That's all.
Yeah, and running. Yeah.
No, you know what?
Okay, fearing for my life. Okay,
Being like, oh man, I'm afraid. Like
for my life.
For my life.
I don't
like,
know.
It's very simple. I don't.
Like, what about when you were in Haiti? Did you have any experiences there that?
Yo, you almost went off the road with Olivia. Like when you were driving.
Yeah, but
in
that
Haiti.
doesn't fit. That doesn't fit with this though.
It fits with being afraid for your life.
Yeah, but I wasn't even afraid the whole time. I was completely calm. That's what I mean. Like,
You're just a super cool dude.
no,
Just so chill.
no, there was
Nice, so
something.
chill.
Did you ever climb a mountain and then trip and be like, maybe I'm gonna die? And you're like, no, I'm okay.
Oh yeah, okay, I got a crazy story.
There we go.
It has nothing to do.
Oh, okay.
It has nothing
Oh, I
to do
got
with
one.
tripping, but I was motorbiking.
Timbit fell down.
And I couldn't get up. I'm serious. No, I'm joking. So, I was going on a motorbike trip with a French family, and there was 2 kids. One of them was riding on the back of mine bike, and one was riding on the back of Steve's bike, and then the couple was riding together. So their kid was on the back. One was way better than the other. One kid was way better than the other. But then, like, on my way up, I fell and couldn't get up. I was going up, like, the rocks are, like, almost straight up, right? And you're trying to, like, it was wet and slippery, and I was like, trying to get up on these, like, rocks, and, like, you finally get up on one, you have to get up on another, and it's like, how do you possibly climb a mountain on a bike, you know? And, like, if you were to try to take the bike up, then you have to sit beside it, and then, like, so I was like, well, I just gotta gun it, and then, like, finally, I went off balance a bit, so then they were going up around the rock one way, and I thought it would be better because I lost balance to go up the other way, and then I kind of fell. That sucked. But then what happened was, and then they were like, oh, are you okay? And, that wasn't very scary. I was, like, awkward because I was like, I really didn't need to fall. On the way back from there, the kid was on my back again, and the parents are insane. They drive around the corners. Like, it's on the side of a mountain, but the mountain has, like, 1,000 of these, right? And what I'm saying is, like, it's like a rabbit jumping back and forth, and so you don't see around corners.
Oh, gosh.
And they go, like, 80, like,
That's
on a
insane.
motorbike together, and they're just like, and then, like, it takes us 10 minutes to catch up to them, and they're just sitting there like, hey, it's good.
That's
like,
crazy.
And so they're insane, and I'm like, okay, well, like, I don't even want to try and compete. Like, I have the kid on the back, and I don't drive bikes all the time, so, especially on these roads, it's completely unsafe. So, anyways, I was going around the corner, and all of a sudden, they disappeared around the corner, and I was like, man, like, it's dangerous. That corner's really sharp. I go around the corner, there's a car coming right at me. And I was like, where did they go? Right? And then I was like, well, what do I do? And, like, the car was right up against the cliff, so I had to go on the other side of the road. And the thing is, the roads in Nepal are ridiculous. Like, sometimes there's the pavement that goes up over the cliff, and the rocks have fell out from underneath it.
Oh my goodness.
Right? And so you're riding on something that you're like, this isn't concrete, it's not made to hold any weight, right?
Yeah.
And there's nothing underneath it. So I essentially, and parts of the whatever it's called, pavement, have broken away because it's, you know, after a while it breaks off. So what happened was the car came around, I drove right up against the edge of the road, which was partially without dirt underneath it, and I was watching my tire. Like, of course I was calm the entire time until after, when it all hit me, but I was like, okay, like, I'm gonna die, and I'm just gonna go around this car, and I'm gonna go right up against the road, and the road is like this, right? Like, with all the edges, and I'm talking about, like, say it's like an edge like that, right? It's like that. I looked at it, and I rode along the edge of it, halfway off the tire. Like, literally, the tire of the motorbike, which is super thin, was halfway off the pavement that didn't even have dirt underneath it. And I was like, I'm gonna die. And literally, after that, it was literally just cliff. Like, for hundreds and hundreds of feet.
Yeah.
Because we were way up in the mountains. And so, like, I rode that. And, of course, if there was a dent, like, where I hit a pothole, I would have to balance, right? But I like, it stuck to the edge of that while the car went past me, and then I pulled onto the side of the road. I hit the brakes as soon as, like, there was something to, like right after the turn, there was something where I could pull over to the side. I hit the brakes and, like, pulled over, and I couldn't breathe. Like, I had been filled with so much adrenaline. I was like, we died. I was like, we almost died. And I couldn't even speak right. Like, my words were all jumbled because I'd, like, my brain was messed up. I was like, oh my goodness.
Okay, yeah.
That time I was like,
You thought you were gonna die,
yeah.
legit.
What do you mean by one of the kids was good and one of them was bad?
Okay, one of them, I don't know whether it was the older one or the younger one, but they were super curious, so they're constantly like, and if you're trying to balance on a motorbike, and you're like, woo, woo, it's like,
The kid
so
was
it's hard to,
To
Yeah.
the left or the right,
Okay.
trying to
Yeah,
look
that's
around.
what. They
That's what he was doing.
pop their head out one side, and when we go around the corner on the other side, they pop on the other side. And it's the opposite of what you want them to do.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was just really hard to drive with him. But I had the kid that just stuck his head in my back spine and just
cried.
stayed in the middle.
That's good.
So it was that.
That's
It probably saved us.
So that is a good reason to
Be afraid for your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you also don't have to go back to that.
No, and relive
Back
it.
to that decision.
We acknowledge
relive
that
it
it was
and
scary.
not be afraid. You were allowed to be afraid at that time.
Wait, was I allowed to?
You were also
You
allowed
were
to be
also
afraid.
allowed.
You were
so what
very
did
allowed.
this
You were
turned
very
into a
allowed.
judging thing? You shouldn't have done that. No,
Did you say your story, Chris? Or
No,
did you not get a
not
chance
yet.
yet?
oh, really?
There's two different ones that I can think of that are decent. I mean, not anything major.
Well, you only get one.
Yeah, I know, so I'll do both.
Well, I actually told two, so
Boom.
I mean, they're connected though. So
that's right.
No. And so I mean, driving through the lights in snowstorm or icy time, I'd either one time I was driving through, it was a snowstorm, ice everywhere, super slippery. I was slowing down a bit because there was a red, and then it turned green, so I started speeding up. And then when I passed, I guess, the beginning of the intersection, out of the right side of my eye, I caught something moving, and I just thought to look, and I saw this Jeep just driving, not slowing down. I think I slammed the brakes. Praise God, I got no ice patch because I slowed down and he went flying in front of me in the intersection. Another time in the same intersection.
What
So
did the
it was your
deer?
green light, and
It was my green light and he ran a red and he
Oh,
almost hit me
yeah.
if I
Oh,
didn't hit the brakes and
jeez.
had traction.
Oh, wow.
And then another time going through the lights, I sped up and the guy went going through a red light. He went behind me, I think. Another time in the same intersection, and then I had two other experiences like that at two different intersections.
Is this at the Stanley intersection?
Just the one up the road, yeah, the one on the hill up here.
Oh, wow.
I had two experiences on that one intersection.
I was thinking of the one where you get off the highway.
No,
You
just
know, where
on
it's
top
5
of
lanes.
I wonder if people actually get in accidents a lot there.
I don't know.
I don't think I've ever
So
seen one.
yeah, I've been
I
through
haven't seen one.
4 or 5 things like that when guys just miss me by them going through red lights.
See, that's why I'm scared of driving.
Oh, one time.
I'm getting my G2 or my G on Tuesday.
Ooh.
You're about to be a
Nice.
grown man. Not joking.
Well, my
Grown
birthday is
Oh,
in
boy.
a week and a bit,
Nice.
and then I'll be 18.
13-year-old.
And then you can drink.
No.
No,
That
that's
freaks
not how that
me
works.
out, man.
That's not how.
I've
You
known
vote
you since you
before
were
you
13
drink.
years old.
Hmm?
I've
Wait,
known
how
you
old
since
are
you were
you?
13 years old.
I'm 19.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's what I thought.
he's still a young little
Crazy.
boy.
It's crazy. I'm 19.
You'll never catch up to me.
That's why there's
Insane.
so many beers in the fridge.
Catch up to you how?
Like he'll never catch up to my age.
Chris?
I
Obviously.
thought you were talking about drinking. I was like,
No.
no. Past.
Oh my goodness.
You'll never catch up.
Anyways,
here- oh.
moving on. So,
Can I just, on this subject, can I
Sure.
very quickly try a riddle on Caleb?
Sure.
He's too smart, he'll get it.
Don't say that, because then I won't get it. You'll be like, eh.
Especially if you if it's the same one you did last night
Yeah,
and
I
you
have to
ruin
do
it
it.
again.
I have to do it right.
Someone else do it
So-
if they know better.
I'm 6, and my sister is half my age.
Oh my goodness.
Now I'm 70. How old is my sister?
67.
See, he's
Yeah.
smart.
Of course.
Yeah.
What? But that's half. Isn't it?
Wait, say it
Okay.
again. Say it again.
All right. So, my sister, I'm 6 years old. My sister is half my age. Now I'm 70. How old is my sister?
6. No. I'm joking.
What? You want people to say 35, because that's half a 7.
Oh. I thought 67 was half of 70.
Wait, what did you say?
I just terribly did math.
Caleb, what did you say?
I said 67.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Which is the right way to do it.
Yeah,
76.
man. I watched that video on Facebook
Yeah.
and I couldn't figure it out. what it was wrong with it.
What was wrong with the guy? He's
Yeah,
like,
I was like, I don't understand. He's saying the right answer.
yeah.
Like, I can't
Stop
even
pulling
understand.
his leg.
I'm glad I'm not there because, like, that would be me.
Yeah.
So, like,
He's like 35. It's 35.
So it was half. So that's 3 years old, and half of 70 is 35.
Yeah.
It's the right answer.
No,
So
but
good.
I think you need to not say now and let it be
Oh,
let
okay.
it be, because like now implies that
Time has
time has
Right.
passed.
You have
to have
But you
time
want
has passed.
that to be something that you have to figure out logically.
Right. Yeah. That's
So I am 6, half my age is 3.
In other words, saying if
What
she's
is- what,
6 and
I
she's
am-
3,
I am
and
70,
if she's 60,
what is her age?
70, then
Right.
what is she?
right. That's
Like, it's
true.
just like that.
Because then they have to be like, well, okay, so you are still you, and if you're 70, she's still half of what you were back then. You know what I mean?
No, she's not.
Yeah, she's half of what you were when you were 6. So if that's minus 3,
Oh,
it should
back
be still
then.
minus
Right.
3.
Right.
They should automatically include that was you, this is you, then time passed, right?
Right. Gotcha.
Because that's what's so confusing, because you think it's a separate question. That's
right.
the thing.
Gotcha.
You think it's 2 separate questions? Because I feel like that's really good.
All right, so Chris, what was your next
Yeah,
story?
that was awesome.
Yeah.
Other one was, it was like a month or 2 before I replaced my tires.
And,
And
Sherry's
Mitchell's
texting-
complaining
Sherry's
about me
texting
being on my
her
phone,
wife,
but
and Kayla's
I'm doing
texting
something important
Sherry's
while
wife.
listening.
I'm just looking at riddles.
Okay, and he's the only
Oh,
one that
that's
doesn't
good.
care. I'm sorry.
You're okay then, but you
Chris,
too.
I'm trying to like keep up the conversation. you
I
know?
am. The only reason I'm texting is Mark said there is some soup left.
So, like, my tires were getting to the end. I probably replaced them a couple months after this. But it just, like, was misty kind of rain, and it just started type of thing. And I was driving around, it was like a S shape of a road.
Okay.
It was like 50, I think, or 60. All of a sudden, in front of me is the first swivel of the S. And all of a sudden, my car started turning sideways.
Oh no.
I was like, what is happening right now? Is this even possible? What the, like, my car's
Oh.
turning sideways and I'm moving straight.
It's
How
like-
does that even work?
I have officially created a spaceship.
I know, like, this is crazy. So I turned my wheels and should try to turn back the other way. And I think I start turning that, like, turning back to the right. And then I start swerving that way onto the other side of the road. Like, I'm just sliding on pretty much black ice, but there's no ice. It's just rain,
That sounds
oils
awesome.
on the road. It was crazy. It was
Man,
like
it sounds
total
like
Grand
that.
Theft Auto, sliding
Right.
around. In my brain, like, I was silent like you, just like as if I was sliding around corners with ice, you know, turning. Okay, it was right for
I hope
turning
the
this
sound
way,
effects
and so I started moving right, and then I started sliding to the left, and then I see a car coming, so I'm like, this is not good. So I'm able to swerve to my car to the left again, but like onto my side of the street, so there's room for the other car. He like beeps and goes flying by me.
Stop driving sideways,
And
idiot.
like sooner or later I get back
Oh my
traction,
goodness.
but like yeah, I was sliding back and forth on the road and moving
That's
into the
so
other side
scary.
of the lane. It was like so crazy.
That's scary.
I was like,
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
even know what's happening right now. Like, how can you?
Were
No,
you
it's not
drunk?
even raining. Like, really, it's mist.
He was dreaming
And were
by the
you
side of the road.
intoxicated? No, I'm just kidding.
Uh-oh.
It
That
Crazy.
sounds awesome.
It was kind of cool. I mean, sliding around, it
Yeah.
was fun.
Yes, my friend John, who
Yeah.
listens to our podcast, has misophonia, which is the sound of people chewing.
And so
But
he's
we-
asked us not to chew.
Hey,
things.
John, I love you.
But we always
since-
do anyway.
And since
Oh,
That's what I do.
Caleb!
That's literally
That's
what
the
I do.
guest.
Yeah.
that is
John's our
Willow.
only viewer.
What's
what are
it?
you doing?
His name's John?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never mind. I don't want to do it to our only viewer.
Just, hey, John.
He'll do it.
Listen
He'll
to
think
these
it's funny.
sweet sounds just for you.
There you go.
We do it because we
No,
care.
no, no, no one make any noises,
Okay.
guys.
Right. John, this is for you.
That actually sounds so good.
That was beautiful. We're gonna end every podcast with that edited piece.
Yes! Yeah, John,
that's
John,
You need
if you're
kettle
listening,
cooked
I'm still
shit.
waiting for my kiss. Still waiting for my
Yeah,
kiss,
okay.
John.
I'll give you a kiss.
Do it, do it, do it.
From John.
Oh yeah, here it comes. Here it comes.
You want French?
Woo!
Yeah!
That wasn't even on the list.
Oh!
I didn't know if I was allowed to
Cheekies.
kiss him on the lips.
Cheekies.
I was
Well,
like,
if you want to know, I have kissed a dude on the lips before, so...
so
I
have
assume it was Tim.
It was
Nope.
his brother.
Nope. Well, yes, I have kissed my brother, but I didn't count that.
Who did you
That's
kiss on the
normal,
lips?
though.
And I also want
So
to know who you kissed on
here's
the
a fun
lips.
story.
You
Essentially,
don't know this person.
it was actually...
No, but I want to know the circumstances around it.
Wait, there's two different.
I don't want to know anything.
It was my second ever kiss ever, which is a weird thing, but I was
What was
essentially
their first? You
Yeah.
remember?
none of your business. So I was at a school, and I was in like a dorm, and this one kid who actually was the boyfriend to a girl who was a friend of mine. He was like at the door. And he's like, "Let me in," because like the door's locking, need keys. And then no one was getting up to let him in, so I was getting up to let him in. And he's like, "But whoever lets me in, I'm gonna kiss you." And I was like, "So don't let him in?" Like, and I was like, whatever. I'll just let him in because I'm a nice guy. And I let him in, and he's like, "Okay." And he comes up and he gives me a little smooch, and I was like, "Okay." He was also drunk. Maybe I should have said
Yes,
that first.
yeah. Were you
Yeah,
in fear
that's
of your
different.
life?
Yes.
Whoa! Whoa!
He had a baseball bat.
I wonder if I was ever in fear for my life.
Are you
at
gonna
college.
tell your story, or is that for another day?
I don't know. It depends how graphic we want to get. in
Probably
this.
not very.
The only one I know of is.
Hey, did I miss
that-
anything? Oh,
Well,
hey.
We're just
Hey,
talking about the first time
girl.
we kissed guys.
Yeah.
I heard it.
I'm okay. Luke has left the building.
yeah.
Help.
He literally turned right around and walked away.
Yeah, I just told a story about my first time making out with a dude. Although saying it in those words is inaccurate because
Yes.
it wasn't a makeup session.
It was not a makeup
It
section.
was just a little.
Our subject
may
is,
have been drunk. You may
has
have
there
been
been a
drunk.
time when you've been in fear of your life? Or
Yes.
Yeah. So Mitchell's the last one to
Yeah.
go.
Dang it! They remembered.
Chris had some very precarious situations
Wait,
on the road.
we have to decide if his fear was valid.
His fear was very valid.
Okay.
Yeah.
You do not have to go back to that time and relive it, and not.
Unless
be in
you
fear.
want to, because it
Unless
was
you
fun.
want to. Unless you want to do it to be like, well, I know I get out of it all right,
Incredible.
therefore I
Yeah.
won't be scared. In which case, we'll go back right now.
No, Mitchell's just trying to put off
fun.
his story.
I'm trying to put up my story. I literally am the tamest person. I am never scared of
That's-
anything. But I will say this: the
First.
only thing I could come up with in all of that time, because literally everyone went, and the only thing I could come up with is that when I was really young. Well, first of all, like I was swimming. It has to do with water. I drowned when I was 3 years old.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
And
I'm
it kind of
it
is
had
that
to
type
do
of
with
idea.
when you drowned it. Okay.
But I was young, and I always had problems with people like who like dunk you under, because I always would get dunked under, and I always like would have a hard time breathing. But this situation is worse than that, where essentially it was like I went underwater and I came up, and there was something above me, and then I like tried to like move to the other side, but it didn't end. So then I turned
Ooh.
around and like tried to move back to wherever the other end was, and I finally did get out. But in that circumstance, like if there's any moment that I could possibly think of, I think it was that circumstance.
So was it
where
a
I was
boat,
like, boy,
or
I
was
think
it
I'm-
like a inner tube, or what was it that was
I'm not
above
actually
you?
sure. I think it might have either been like a tube, like one of those tubes that people sit in,
Yeah,
or like a kayak or something.
Because I have been in that situation where like someone has pushed me under, and then I come up and I've hit an inner tube, and then I'm like flailing to try to figure out how to get up to the
Exactly,
Oh, yeah,
surface.
that's scary.
That is
Yeah,
a
and
scary.
that's essentially like the only
Yeah.
type of thing I've done. And
Yeah.
maybe I didn't even do it. Maybe I just watched it in a movie.
Happened with
I
me,
don't
but
know.
with a mattress.
A
on the water.
mattress on the water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember when
You
we
could
would go with Reinhardt and they'd
front.
put a mattress
Right.
out on the water?
Sand.
And I got pushed off, and then somehow it shifted, and I went up, and it was a mattress.
Oh.
And then I was like trying to find
Trying
my
to
way
find
out.
one, yeah, imagine being
And then
stuck
there was
under ice.
people like standing along the edges of the mattress, like pushing us off. So like there was cage of
Yeah.
legs
Oh, jeez.
Oh,
that
because
is
that was
we
the
were
other
doing King of
problem.
the Hill
The
or
other problem
whatever.
was like running into other people, right?
Right.
And like, oh, yeah.
And if I got like kicked and knocked unconscious,
Oh, man.
Like a little sea fish
So
in the
does
water.
Mitchell deserve to have felt afraid in that situation?
yes.
Yeah.
No, I gotta go back and relive it. All right. So here's the thing, guys. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna describe it as it's happening.
Okay, all right.
I'm there in the water. I'm 3 years
Close
old.
your eyes, Mitchell.
My mom's there. She's dunking me. No, I'm under the water. I'm swimming. I think I'm at. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
I thought he just couldn't remember.
I'm speaking in order to tell you what's happening, but my mouth is actually closed and I'm not breathing. I'm
Right.
underneath the water.
Yes.
I've come up, but there's something over top of me.
Keep going, Mitchell. What
I'm
is it?
moving it.
What is
I'm
it?
sure-
How does
I
it feel?
stop.
It feels soft, so I don't think it's a canoe. I think it is one of those.
And
foam
what are you
things.
feeling, Mitchell? What are you feeling
Foam
right
things.
now?
Oh, it's
Foam sinks.
Oh, I'm feeling like the little holes in between, but I like can't come up, and there's a person on it and is like pushing down
Are
onto
you
me.
scared, Mitchell?
Oh, I'm getting scared, but you know what? No, I'm not gonna be scared because I know this has to be a certain distance, so I should be okay. I think I have enough breath.
Okay.
Therefore, so I'm pulling myself.
What's
I'm
your
pulling
heart
myself
rate at?
along. It's raising, but I'm trying to lower it. I'm trying to lower it by not breathing.
Are you switching directions, or are you trying to go one direction?
I'm still trying to go one direction, but I can't seem to find the end.
Like the band?
And right now I've stopped because I'm like, do I continue trying to go this direction, which hasn't actually amounted in anything, or do I go back, hoping that maybe that way is shorter?
Oh no, but do
I'm
you
not
have your
sure.
top hat on?
I'm in the water. Come on.
Oh no,
Oh.
he's all alone. He's naked.
I'm naked, guys. I am naked here.
Without his top hat
Are
on?
you sure you're not describing like being a baby and coming out of your mother's womb?
That's what it was. That wasn't scary. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not scared.
It's so cold and wet
How did you
here.
get
I've
out?
gotta
How
find
did you
my
get
way
out?
All right, so I'm there.
The foam
And
thing with lots of
I
holes.
Yeah.
eventually
Well,
I
I'm
realized
gonna
that
ask
there
him about
is no
that
size to
because
this, so I
Why would
reached
something
and I
with holes
ripped
in
a
it
hole
still be
inside of it, and I
floating?
pulled myself through, and I was born.
No, I was
No,
talking
so
about
I was
the...
going that direction, and I
Yes.
was like, I might be near the end, but I don't want to
Yes.
keep going if there's nothing there because I'm running out of breath.
Push
so I
through,
turn,
Mitchell.
I turn around and I go,
Oh my
okay, I'm gonna
goodness,
go
no.
back, but you know what? Today's not the day I die.
Yes.
So I go back as quickly as I can, using the top to pull myself along.
Yes.
And the person's moving, so that's also a problem because they're moving in a specific direction, so I'm going with them. And so I finally start pushing in the opposite direction, and I push them out of my way, and I come up above the water, and I go,
Sunshine, lollipops, and
rainbows,
everything
that's wonderful is what I feel when we're together.
Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows, everything that's wonderful is what I feel when we're together.
I have one quick question. I guess I could say a hole in your story.
Aw.
No, how did you, like you described touching something that had holes in it?
well, what I mean by that is, like, you know how, like, when you sit on, like, for example, the tubes that are up at Ottawa, like, it's like a tube thing, but it's, like, got the bottom part that's kind of like a net
Mesh.
almost.
Yeah, so you
Okay.
can't quite...
So I still wouldn't be able to
get
breathe
out.
because there's a person in it,
Sure,
and therefore it's
okay,
underwater. So
So
if that's
like-
what your hole is, you take that back right now.
Well, I was like, you were just, and you just said it was foam, and I'm like, foam doesn't.
Well, I mean, like that
And I thought it was an air mattress.
Okay.
Oh, I'm really confused.
I take it back.
Sorry
and
about that,
I
guys.
apologize.
If you're confused about the song we just sang, that was my theme song during high school, and everyone started singing it because of that, and now it's just a thing.
It's just like...
No, I've accepted that you guys just break out into songs
Yes.
sometimes.
Yeah,
He gets
that's
us.
that's a
Yes.
part of
He
the
really
podcast
gets
we
us.
just started saying.
Yeah, it's just our jam.
So, what I've discovered from all of you based on these stories is Chris is not a great driver.
I'm a great driver.
He survived.
I survived, and I
ice.
didn't even crash while sliding with no traction. That was
But
amazing.
I've never had a scenario like that, so...
Yeah, but
You've
you
never
always,
drove long distances like all the time.
You also.
I have that
haven't
happen
had
to
a
me
car.
all the time.
I
Well, you're a
drive to
worse
New
driver.
Brunswick.
Yeah.
That's what.
That's 16
When?
hours.
Honestly, I think he's
Winter,
on something.
summer, winter.
Okay, well, at some point you gotta drive though. In
Yeah,
like,
guys,
I
there's
mean,
no
constant.
comparison to my story.
I don't know.
Because unless you were driving, which you wouldn't be, because your dad would always change the tires and keep up with new ones. Mine were like dying, and I replaced them like a couple months after, or a month later. I don't know.
Drive with
I
flat
did.
tires. Yeah, he's like.
No, it wasn't
you
about
obviously
tires.
get new
I'm
tires.
saying they were near the end of its life, and that's why
Ice
they
was
were
so
dying.
friction.
And then I changed them
The end of
soon
the
later.
thread.
And yeah, it was coming to the end of its life.
Okay.
So that's why it slid more or less.
Yeah, but
That-
the point is surviving the situation.
I know, and it's like not just like, yeah, just keep spitting out of control.
It was awesome.
I'm
It was
more
fierce
concerned
from
about
LA.
Tim's driving.
Hmm?
You've had so many close calls that I'm like, you have to have a guardian
Yeah,
angel.
100%. I used to be like Tim used to drive too fast, but he also used to be a good driver. But I do not trust Tim's driving like anymore because he does this thing where when he'll pull too fast up to someone and he'll just like turn and like go up beside them instead. And I'm like, if you need to do that, then you're already doing it wrong.
Yeah, I spent too long not driving, and then I spent too long driving the speed limit that now driving's doesn't what is it, pique my attention.
He gets distracted. He doesn't realize what he's doing, and he also
I don't know
now
if dyslexia's got worse or something, or if I've just like, or if because I'm going the speed limit, it's not requiring my full attention, so I'm actually getting distracted more often.
And it doesn't help that now he actually gets nervous while driving. Because, like, if it was like, oh, I do that, but I feel perfectly comfortable and, like, strong. But instead it's like, he's going, and then he's like, oh no. It's like, no. You can't do
Or
that
he
as a
runs
driver.
red lights all the
Yeah.
time.
Oh my goodness, yeah. It's so awkward.
Love you, John.
I drive up to a red light, and then
He thinks
and then
like
it
a
turns
stop sign.
green and I stop, and then it turns red and I go.
Oh my
I don't know
God.
why it didn't make it. I've driven up to a green light and stopped. It turned yellow and red and I went.
But have you ever driven up to a red stop sign and waited for it to turn green?
What?
Have you ever driven up to a red stop sign and waited for it to turn green?
Yeah, like most of the time.
That's good. See, that's responsible.
It never does, so I drive anyways.
So yeah, you're saying they're both bad drivers, and what else?
You have an unhealthy relationship with water.
Yeah, but I love water. Water's my favorite thing in the world.
And Sheri
Except to drink.
has
I like water, but not in my mouth.
like a crazy fear of being stabbed. Like, it's completely unfounded.
I mean, yeah.
Nana's like, oh my goodness, someone's cooking with a knife. I'm gonna get
See,
stabbed.
and that's why when I poked her earlier, she was like, "Ow!"
This
You
is
just
all
triggered-
coming together.
You triggered my fear of being stabbed.
Ow.
I need a safe space. I need my coloring books.
Okay, that's actually pretty fun.
So then,
should do
if you that's what you found about us, I see that you
You
find
are-
older people who talk to you creepy because what are their intentions?
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
He has a problem with older people.
What are your intentions, Sheri? No, I'm not gonna go there.
Back to the beginning. of
My
the podcast.
intentions are to love Caleb as much as I love you guys because he's awesome.
How is your
Wait, you love us
relationship
a
So
little
if he
bit much,
stops
though,
being
so-
awesome, then you would stop loving him?
Ooh.
I mean, I would.
Love you on a good day, hate you on a bad day.
If you can't love me at my worst.
You don't deserve me at my best. No, Caleb is awesome.
I'm a psychopath. Let's be honest.
A little bit, but
I
that's
think
part of your charm.
sociopath, okay? I think more sociopath.
Sociopath?
Sociopath.
Okay.
Because psychopath is like, I want to kill people. Sociopath is like, I don't mind.
Like,
Killing people.
I just don't feel things.
Sociopath.
And it's like, I could kill you if, like,
See, but it's not like you have the.
Could
It's
you
not
really
like.
kill somebody?
I think so.
So describe that a little bit further.
Yeah.
Does there have to be a set of circumstances? Like, could you just be like
Where do you think this started?
Like,
randomly some person walking down the
like
street
it
stabbing
happens
them?
a
Or
lot of my dreams where I'm inhibited. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I'll just be, like, walking, and then there's, like, someone who, like, just looks at me the wrong way, and then I cut their head off.
Anger?
Wow.
Okay.
It's not anger though.
No,
it's
like
just
the
like
ultimate kind of anger.
No, it's the same thing. He's
It's
like, this is an older weird person. What are their intentions?
it's
I
like
don't like them.
domination, kind of like.
Oh.
Right?
I'm not angry that they looked at me funny. It's just like, no, I'm in charge. You're dead now.
So really, cutting
Like,
off heads isn't
you
actually
are not
an
above
act.
me. I am always.
Well,
above
they were
you.
taller than me, so like.
So what you're
Fix
saying is
that.
that like cutting off heads, it
Mm.
isn't coming from
Well,
a
it's
place
not
of wanting to
only-
kill. It's coming from a place of wanting control.
Right.
It's not
saying-
only cutting off heads.
Right.
Like one time I used a mandolin and started at their fingers.
Okay.
So essentially,
Sometimes I have dreams that I have superpowers. I put air quotes because like I don't use them for super good reasons.
super.
Interesting. So it doesn't have to be somebody that like murdered your family. It can just be somebody that looked at you the wrong way.
Or, like-
no, just someone who's standing in his way. Just
Or like
someone
sometimes
who's
like I'll
standing
just
there.
like go on a trip.
Are they all with about that same thing of like them challenging your
No,
But for people
sometimes it's just
listening,
like-
these are just his hopes and dreams.
Like
okay.
I was talking to Mitchell about I had a dream that I was in jail, and if any of you watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, there's this thing that's called blood bending,
Mm.
and it's basically where like people can control water, and people are made up of 80% water. So like I turned 2 people into raisins and took the water out of them and then killed everyone else in the jail. Like I wasn't
Huh.
mad at people. Well,
Right.
like I wanted the guards to let me out, but I just killed the rest of them.
Now, is it because that you don't know the person in the jail, or you don't know the person coming
Like because I'm
across the street from you?
detached from people.
Right. But what if it was like, I don't know, what if it was like
Emma.
Emma or your dad
or
or
Sheri?
me or somebody from the church that you know? Would you have a different feeling about it?
I don't know. I've never like. It's always people that I don't know who they are.
Right. So they kind of
So it's a
don't
disconnect.
have value to you because you don't know them.
But I don't dream about people I know. Ever.
That's also interesting.
They're never in any of your dreams?
No, I've
Wow.
Weird.
never dreamed about any of you.
Huh.
And like I've known you for a large portion of my life.
Wow.
I've never dreamed
mean,
about
I don't
my
know.
family.
Yeah.
I've never dreamed about my animals. And like if
I mean, I haven't.
I had a dream about someone, it's not them. It's like I call this mass someone, but it's not them.
So it's like you, in your own dream, you're essentially going, I'm relating this to that thing, but this
But
is
it's-
obviously not that thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because they obviously wouldn't do that anyway.
No,
Very
this is like
intriguing.
like I would be talking to Rosie, but it's like a teapot. Like
I want to be your therapist. This is interesting.
This is no longer the boys' podcast. This is the boys' therapist.
Therapy
Yeah.
with Sheri.
Therapy with Sheri. Sherapy.
There we go. That's fascinating. When's the last time you cried?
Well, that's a good question even for me.
Yesterday.
probably yesterday, actually. Yeah.
You cried yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Over?
From what do you think? Was it just
It's getting a little
releasing?
private.
Was it just for the sake of crying, or was it actually something?
I was
that
watching
happened?
Orange is the New Black.
Makes sense.
Mm.
I never cry about real life things.
Mm.
I
so
watch
you can get connected to things, just not in real life.
I watch shows so that I feel things, like sad shows.
Interesting.
Like Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood. I watch that so
Hugh's
that I
death?
feel.
Come on, man.
Hugh, which one is that?
Hughes is the father who dies early on.
Oh yeah,
Right.
in the telephone booth.
Mm.
That was so sad.
And the most messed up thing is Edward. Oh, we won't explain it because
No.
it's too messed up. Okay,
yeah.
It's the
Um,
saddest thing.
What about, like, this is getting really personal, but did you ever cry about your mom?
Yes,
Like, early on, or,
like the day.
okay. But did you ever, was that a part of your grieving process through the weeks and months that followed? Or was just kind of like the one time?
I think it's just the one time.
See, we gotta hire mourners again. You know, it worked back then.
Oh,
Like
Could you imagine though
interesting.
knowing about
I
your
just
own
started trying to
funeral and that they had to
better
pay
myself.
people to cry about
Right.
it?
which is weird.
I
Which
mean,
is very
After your
good.
mom passed?
Yeah, like I started working out like really hardcore.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Like, do you think on some level you wanted her to be proud of you, or were you doing it for her? Or
No.
no.
was it just like a distraction for the most part?
It was like-
something you could throw yourself into
Yeah.
you care about?
She took up 30% of my life.
Uh huh. Yeah.
So I had 30% of my life that I was like,
What do I do?
what do I do with
So it was
this?
more like trying to fill a hole.
Not that trying to fill her. Like,
Yeah.
Less that it's her, more just like there's an absence of things to do.
Right.
Should we end the podcast now? It's been
Yeah,
about an hour.
probably.
I mean, an hour of us trying to record, but like half
We
an hour
also
was
have like more from other ones.
Hope you enjoyed.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed. Glad we you got to hear all our stories.
all of us, everyone.
Please download this and listen every day.